Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at taking everything we've practiced with understanding structural differences with descendant species and evolutionary time, and we're going to be taking a real-world approach as we dive into our simulator to analyze some structural differences that we see between our giraffe species here and two fossilized creatures in our sim. So we know that structural differences that we see between different descendant species, whether it's humans and Tiktaalik, whether it's saber-toothed tiger and lions, whatever it may be, is directly related to the amount of evolutionary time. The more time that has passed, the more changes that can occur to different shared structures. And we know, based on our key concept, small changes build up and add up to large changes over time. So we're going to be taking this idea and applying it to our simulator, thinking about how these descendant species have differences in their shared structures, and thinking about the amount of time of evolutionary time that has passed so we can answer this question: how did descendant species from a common ancestor become very different? So let's take a look at how we're going to do this in the sim and what resources and things you'll see in the next set of tasks. So your work in the sim will have you comparing the structural differences of two species that lived long ago to a modern day giraffe. So we're doing a giraffe compared to two different species. You'll be comparing the structures of a giraffe with the structures of these two species, Elomirx and Acanthostega. Acanthostega. There we go. And as you compare those fossils, you're going to be analyzing their structural differences to help you explain how did they become so different over that evolutionary time. So how this is going to work is you're going to dive into the sim and to find our three species so that you can compare those structures just like in our card sorting activity. You'll press the tree button in the right hand corner. And you'll need to find the Artiodactyl group. This is where you'll find your giraffe. Okay, so you'll go into the tree to find our giraffe, and your other two species, the fossilized ones, will be in your fossil collection, all ready to go for you. And once you're on the page, you're then going to click on the orange study buttons for the giraffe and the other two species so you can read their information and you can compare their structures. So I'm not giving you the structural differences, you have to observe them yourself. So thinking about all the differences that we've looked at, whether it's the limbs, whether it's the skulls, the teeth, the ribs, so on, looking at all those structural differences. And it's only when you compare the giraffe fossils to the other two side by side, kind of how you see there in this picture, you'll be able to make those observations and collect their data about what makes them different. So as you click through the tabs at the top, you'll be able to compare what are the skulls like, the hips like, the legs like, what are those differences? Are some longer or smaller? Are they wider? Are they in different positions? This is where you'll have to make those observations, collect that information to help you decide, okay, how did evolutionary time affect their differences? So once you use this information in the diagram, once you have them side by side, once you make those comparisons, we'll be able to see the structural differences between the giraffe compared to the Elomerix, okay? And then we can use those differences to describe how evolutionary time plays a role comparing these descendant species. You'll then do it again for the giraffe and the Acanthostega, okay? Looking again, what are those structural differences and comparing the two so that you can make observations. So when you get into the task itself, it's going to break down how to follow the steps I just showed you. There's a help button that gives you a screenshot of where you need to click and what. I recommend using that so that you can then begin to collect your data about how long ago those fossils were found, what those structural differences are, and then how much time do you think has passed. So you'll do that for the giraffe compared to the first species, and you'll do that for the giraffe compared to the second species. At this point, ask yourself, do you understand how to compare the two fossil species to the giraffe within our sim? And how to collect that data, those observational data, on the structural differences in the tasks that you see here? If the answer is yes, great. If not, reach out. Otherwise, good luck.